Hi everybody, thanks for watching. I'm Tony Gaglione.
I'm Shawn Adams.
And right now we're going to do a little soccer special as the EPL season starts August 17th.
Which is this Saturday, yeah.
Stuart Downing got transferred to West Ham today. It's an undisclosed fee, but they've already signed about 5 or 6 players, I think.
Yeah, undisclosed fee, for those of you who don't know. They bought him from Aston Villa for $20 million. Undisclosed means we don't want to tell how much people were selling him cheaper for because he failed Liverpool. Yeah, but they bought him from Aston Villa. Liverpool did for $20 million.
Oh, okay.
And so with the undisclosed, they don't want to acknowledge how much money they're taking a loss on because he really didn't make that much of a difference. In fact, this is funny because Gareth Bale, who we'll talk about in a second, his rumored transfer fee is somewhere in $100 million. At one point, there was when Downing first came on, Tottenham wanted Downing as well, and there was a headline that said Tottenham would have to give Bale and £5 million for Downing. This was years ago.
Okay, yeah, Stuart Downing was supposed to be something fantastic, and he just never turned out to be anything that special. $100 million for Stuart Downing is absolutely outrageous right now because he's probably only worth about 7 to 10.
Yeah, I would bet you the transfer fee was probably around 8 to 10, somewhere around there. West Ham's made 5 signings. They're definitely they came up last year. They were down for a year. They came back up last year. They stayed alive. I think West Ham's going to continue.
They're going to be all right. They already had Andy Carroll, who they got from Liverpool last year. They signed Rat, the Romanian national team captain.
Yep. Danny Whitehead, and Adrian from Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, huge goalie.
Or Real Betis. Sorry, Real Betis they signed him from. As well as there are 3 newcomers this year in the Premier League. Hull City, who's been up. In fact, last time Josie Altidore was in the Premier League, he played for Hull City. Cardiff City, the other Welsh team, and Crystal Palace. Of those 3, I think Crystal Palace is going to find it harder because not only is their leading scorer Glenn Murray injured for the whole year,
they lost Zaha.
They lost Wilfred Zaha because he was bought by Manchester United.
Sure.
Hull City, I think Cardiff is probably in the best position to
stay there.
To stay there because they have a good structure. They also have Craig Bellamy, the Welsh striker.
See, it's crazy to me without Murray, Crystal Palace, that they even did anything last year because in the playoffs they didn't have him either.
No.
So they had to win.
Wilfred Zaha won the game for him.
Basically.
Yeah.
So and in the last couple of years they've lost Nathaniel Klein to Southampton and now Zaha to United. So they're depleting as they are going up, which is confusing. However, I don't think they're going to be going up much longer.
No, I don't think there's much more room for improvement. I do think there's room for improvement for Hull City and Cardiff.
Sure.
Of those
Cardiff
3, of the 3, I say Cardiff is the team that I think has the best structure and as players.
And they got a few bucks. They can make 1 or 2 more signings if they have to.
Yeah, they've already broke their transfer record 3 times this summer.
That's great. They want to be there. They want to stay there, that's great because you see a lot of teams, they get there and they're kind of like, oh, we're just happy to be here and we'll play it out. And
then
they
we'll give our 30 million.
Not even 30 points and they get relegated.
Yeah, I think the thing about Cardiff is they got a new owner, a Malaysian owner. He changed a few of the history, like the colors and stuff like that. But I think they kept their money in check. And now that they're there, not only do they get the TV money from the Premier League, but they also have money to spend as what they've done this summer. Moving on from the 3 relegated teams, there's 3 transfers in the Premier League that could or could not happen of 3 big-name guys. The first one I'm going to talk about because it goes to my team. Luis Suarez possibly still go to Arsenal. It's rumored that they want at least £50 million for him, but their coach has said they're not going to sell him. Their owner said they're not going to sell him. He still has 6 games left on a suspension. He said he's not going to apologize. I don't think this situation is going to end pretty.
No, and for those of you who don't know, Suarez is suspended for biting Ivanovic from Chelsea last year, and it was pretty blatant and pretty terrible.
Yeah.
And I don't think Suarez is going anywhere, personally. I don't think any of the 3 that we're going to talk about are going anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's just speculation. Gareth Bale, as I said earlier, £100 million transfer to Real Madrid. He is one of the better players in the world right now.
Yeah, he will be eventually, in my opinion, the best player in the world.
Yeah, I think he will go to Real Madrid, but not this year.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I think Tottenham realizes that they would be nowhere without him, and they refuse to sell.
Well, that's for sure. I mean, they barely hung into a EuroLeague spot with them.
Yeah, exactly.
They had Clint Dempsey, who they sold to Seattle Sounders, and Aaron Lennon, Adebayor, a couple other guys. But the other transfer guy we're talking about is Wayne Rooney, who is my absolute favorite player. I told Shawn,
as you could tell by the
Rooney.
Wayne Rooney jersey up there.
I told Shawn I'm a Man U fan, but only because of Wayne Rooney. Shawn is an Arsenal fan because he's an Arsenal fan. So he doesn't have any. He has favorite players, but if those favorite players left, he'd still be an Arsenal fan.
Van Persie.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Van Persie went to Manchester United last year after they said they're not going to sell Van Persie. So I mean,
yeah, you never know. And it's kind of like the NFL, where a team says one thing and then does another.
He's Rooney a franchise player, and then they trade.
Rooney wants to go to Chelsea because Jose Mourinho, who's probably the best coach around now, I would say Ferguson is obviously the number one.
Yeah.
He has a way of making strikers better. The last time he coached Chelsea, Didier Drogba became a star. Mm-hmm. The thing about Rooney that's I kind of find odd is that David Moyes, their new coach, who we'll talk about in a second, says he's injured, but he's going to play this week for England tomorrow. Yeah. And the English coach said, no, he's not injured. I don't see anything wrong with him.
See, the thing with Moyes and Rooney, if anybody didn't know about it, is Moyes actually sued Wayne Rooney for saying his name in a book that Rooney wrote without his consent.
Yeah, Rooney was on Everton, and Moyes was the coach,
Everton,
and he sold him to
Man U. And they didn't like each other at Everton. So having David Moyes come into Man U was the worst possible situation for Wayne Rooney that there is. He was already taking a backseat to Robin Van Persie, and Moyes has no plans in changing that whatsoever.
Yeah, speaking of Moyes, it's going to be his first year in charge of Manchester United, which is finally good for Moyes because he's done such a great job with Everton for 11 years. He's actually going to take over a team that has money, has talent. They just won the Community Shield, which is like the preseason game.
2-0 to Wigan.
2-0 to Wigan, who was relegated last year. I think he's going to struggle to deal with the egos now. I think he's a great coach. I've always said he was a great coach. But I think now that he's going to be dealing with more star players, in Everton only had was Fellaini and Leighton Baines as stars, really.
Jelavic.
But now he's got Van Persie, Rooney, Nani, Valencia, Ashley Young. He's got De Gea. He's got the goalkeeper situation.
Tom Cleverley. Anders Lindegaard. I'm sure he's going to want some time playing first-team goalie.
Yeah.
I agree, 100%. It's a whole different monster in coaching a team that is that highly respected in the world.
Yeah.
Everton, they're a good team. They're a mid-table team every year. He did a good job with them. However, I don't like the formation he's going to run at Man U. I just don't think that he proved himself enough just to get the job. I think they should have went after a high-profile coach.
Well, I think Ferguson hand-selected Moyes. I think he took a guy who was stable, did a great job, who earned his stripes at another team, and now I think Ferguson probably said, this is probably the best guy to take over in the transitional period.
And he's the only guy that if he said so, I would agree, but I don't see it. I don't see it right now. I don't see it. He's going to have to prove everybody wrong, because there's a lot of people that are saying, like you, he's going to struggle.
He's going to struggle. I think he's going to struggle.
You don't see him winning the title this year.
No. In fact, speaking of the title, I want to talk about who do you think makes the top four and who wins the league? As an Arsenal fan, I want to say Arsenal wins it. I think we have a great chance this year because Ferguson's gone. Although, if I'm going to be realistic, I still say we finish top three. It's like it's what we do. We've been in the Champions League consecutive seasons more than anybody. I think top four is this. And I know you're not going to like this.
Don't say City.
I'm going to say City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man U, and then and then fighting for that fifth spot.
That's pretty bad.
Is going to be Everton.
No, I'll go. I'll say Man U still wins. With the talent they have there, it's not a formation or a coach isn't going to make a difference. This player's still got to play the game. The coach doesn't play the game. They have more talent than anybody, in my opinion, in the EPL. I'll go Man U. I'll go Arsenal. I'll go Man City. And then, that's tough. That last one's tough. Tottenham.
Okay. So you got Chelsea missing out, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be the special one, Jose Mourinho. He could have, but I just think he knows how to coach. That's just my thing. You look at what he did at Inter, what he did at Real Madrid. I think he knows how to coach.
The only reason I say Chelsea out is Peter Cech is getting old.
Yeah, okay, the goalie situation. But they do have Couture at Atletico Madrid, so if they want to call him back,
They can call him back for a large fee, but Peter Cech's getting old.
Okay, so let's talk about the relegation teams. Who do you think's getting relegated this year?
This is tough. Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw Crystal Palace out there. So we agree on that one.
Yeah, that's 1 out of 3 already. Let me hear your 2. I'm gonna think about it. So.
I know this is gonna be a surprise, but I think Stoke City gets relegated this year. They barely survived last year. I think Stoke City gets relegated, and I hate to say this to you, but I think Norwich is getting relegated.
No, I don't agree with that whatsoever. I think Norwich is a mid-table team. I'll go with Crystal Palace. We'll go with who's the other team that came up with Southampton?
It was Southampton, Reading, and
Reading.
Reading's already down.
Oh, they're already down.
They were
Okay.
down last year.
I'm dying here then. I have no idea. It's all bunched up at the bottom every year.
Yeah.
So you really don't know what's going to happen. Teams that were down there last year, like West Brom, they signed players and they're going to come up.
Aston Villa,
Sunderland signed to Altidore. They have a couple other players that they signed. They're going to come up. Norwich is going to be fighting.
Yeah.
Let's say Aston Villa. I'll say Crystal Palace and maybe QPR.
Oh, well, QPR is down.
They're down already.
Yeah, they're down already.
Forget me. Hull City.
Yeah, well, you got to throw it's hard for the relegated teams to stay up. Speaking of Sunderland, though, it's going to be Paul Di Canilo's first season at Sunderland, his first full season. Last year, he was hired to save them from relegation, and he did that. Mm-hmm. So I'm anxious to see. I want to see. I don't think they finish mid-table. I think they finish down the bottom end, which could cost him his job. But I'm anxious to see with all the signings he's done. Mm-hmm. Is he the coach that he was the first time he was in the Premier League? Also, I want to know how Swansea City does now that they have to deal with the added Europa League games.
Sure.
Because, they did a great job last year. They won the Capital One Cup, and they finished at like 8th position last year. Mm-hmm. But now that they're going to have those Europa League games, that schedule becomes taxing. You and I both know, supporting Man U and Arsenal, that when those competitions, those European competitions,
you start playing backups and that kind of thing because your players are tired or injured or they got a knock here and there. You have to utilize your entire squad, and Swansea's not that deep.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
The one thing they did sign Wilfred Boney, who also played at AZ Alkmaar with Josie Altidore. In fact, that I feel bad for AZ Alkmaar because they just lost their 2 best strikers.
They
both
got
of them
one
scored
there,
30
so.
goals. Yeah, they got them. They lost both their 30 goal scorers.
Yeah.
The one thing I think the reason why I wanted to talk about this was City winning is because Pellegrini left Malaga and he took over, and they've already signed. Negredo from Sevilla,
Jesus Navas,
Stefan Jovetic, who was an Arsenal target at one point in time.
That was huge.
And I think that he's proven he's a coach. He's not a guy that deals with stars and wins because he has star players. He wins because he's a good coach.
Sure.
And now that he's got the talent that Man City already has, with David Silva,
they're overloaded in the front.
Yeah, they are.
And that's going to cause problems just because of, like you said, a high profile ego.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to want to play, and Edin Dzeko is he's still young, but he's going to want time.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to get the time.
Edin Dzeko plays tomorrow versus USA. Speaking of Team
Bosnia.
USA, there's a few call-ups you alerted me to.
Oh yeah, John Anthony Brooks, center back. He's about 6'4", 230, huge guy, extremely young. I think he's about 19 to 20 years old. He's supposed to be really good. We're all going to see how good he is tomorrow, hopefully.
And then an ex-Iceland player, a guy that's getting his
the guy who still plays for Alkmaar, Aron Johansson. He's the striker that took over for Altidore and for
Wilfred Boney.
For Boney and Altidore. And he's actually, from what they say, he's been taking over pretty well. So
cool.
We'll see what happens tomorrow. Hopefully they get some playing time. It is a friendly.
Yeah. But if they get the cap, they're stuck with the United States team. So if they play
he
in
already
the game,
said he wants to play. Why would you want to play for us?
No. What I'm saying is, if Klinsmann puts them in, they get their cap. They're playing for the U.S. That's their career.
Well, Brooks doesn't have any other option.
Yeah.
Johansson has the one option in Iceland, but
it's Iceland.
Yeah, I mean, if he had the option of playing in somewhere that would be up and coming eventually, like Canada or something like that, then maybe.
Yeah.
But
okay,
guys.
It's a good decision. Thanks for tuning in for our soccer special. EPL starts Saturday, August 17th. This Saturday. The Bundesliga has already started. That's the German team, German league. Serie A, which is the Italian league, and La Liga, which is the Spanish league, start the week after, the 24th. Mm-hmm. So those things. But tune into soccer.
Real quick, before we go, because I know you're all about your title winners. I'll name a league. Give me your title winner.
Okay.
Just for the EPL. You
Man
said
City.
Serie A.
I'm going to say Napoli.
French.
I got to go with Monaco.
I knew you were going to do that. We're going to talk about them in the next segment. You'll see about that one. Let's go. USA.
Who wins the cup in the USA? I'm going to say the Chicago Fire.
Oh!
I'm going to say...
Let me shake your hand and then we'll get out of here.
The Mike McGee signing was just absolutely the best thing I've seen in MLS.
Mike McGee is up for MVP. He just got traded to the Chicago Fire, and now the Chicago Fire are in 5th or 6th place. They were in last. They're only 7 points out of first right now.
And for the other 2 leagues, La Liga, I'm going to have to say Real Madrid because I don't like Barcelona. And for Bundesliga, I'm going to say Dortmund surprises Bayern Munich this year. I think Dortmund. I think Dortmund is they're a quality team.
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Yeah, and they got Lewandowski, so
For how long though? Munich
how long? Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm Shawn Adams.
Gaglione.
This is Smack Talk.